Welcome in, Guardians Daily. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Luke Gable. We are presented by FanArc, and we're just going to hop right into last night's actions as a tough one for your guards as they lose 4-1 to the defending World Series champion LA Dodgers. And that wasn't pretty last night. Was not pretty at all. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Dodgers. You're thinking, oh, Shohei Ohtani, that guy's a hitter. No, he does both, in case you haven't heard if you've been living under a rock, and he's pretty darn good at both. And yeah, he shut down this Guardians lineup last night, and they really did not have an answer for him early in the game. And then the Dodgers bullpen was kind of more of the same. So we'll get into the offense a little bit later down the road, but the story of the night has to be Chase DeLauter. Left the game in the first inning, foul ball off the inside of his back foot, and it just didn't look right away. He just couldn't put any pressure on it. It was an extended little delay after the foul ball. He did this the other night as well, but just wasn't as severe and was able to just play through it. But not the case last night as he fouled the ball off that back foot and he just could not really put any weight onto that foot, it seemed like. And then he did actually finish the at bat, hit a grounder, and then as he tried to push off to run to first, just that leg just didn't have the push and the support it needed for him even to make it down the line. So I think that's just going to be a concern going forward. X-rays were negative. They're calling it a left foot contusion. So I guess some relief there in terms of it doesn't seem to be the most severe version of whatever this could have been for DeLauder, but it goes back to what we've had all been talking about with Chase DeLauder his whole career, leading up to his debut this season. Injuries, 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 and the guy just has a lot of lower body injuries, and it's been a nagging thing throughout his career. I just don't know how much you can rely on him being there throughout this season in terms of an everyday guy. And I think you have to have a contingency plan in place for him missing a couple of different stints on the list. And it's not a great reality to be in because I think he is one of probably right now your second best hitter going forward. Obviously, Jose hasn't had the hottest start to this season, but we know it's Jose Ramirez. We know what that's going to be. But with the Lauder, if he's gonna have to miss, I think the thought from what I'm hearing so far is he's gonna miss probably tonight's game against the Dodgers, close out that series. Off day Thursday. Opening day is Friday at home against the Cubs on Friday late afternoon. You would like him to play in that game, wouldn't you? I mean, that'd be nice for the home crowd, get the people going. This is the guy people want to see as they come to the ballpark. And if he misses just the opening day, it's like it just sort of, could that be a sign of things to come the rest of the season? I hope not. But I think that's one thing you definitely got to keep your eye on. And even if he maybe doesn't play Friday, get him back in the lineup by Saturday, Sunday to this home opening series. But I think obviously right now it looks like we avoided anything major. But still, the point remains: things are going to come up with the Lauder. It's never going to be. You're not. I think there's just going to be these little moments and flashes where you just got to hold your breath and hope for the best. And that's nothing. This isn't a knock against Chase. There really is nothing you can do. It was a free kick accident last night. It was just a foul ball that caught him the wrong way. But I think it's a sign of more things and more issues with this roster and with the way this team's set up in terms of if they miss that bat in this lineup, there is just nothing in this offense. And as we go with the Lauder, we don't really know. We don't want to speculate too much on the extent of the injury and stuff. But I think we do need to talk about the impact that it could have on the offense going forward. I mean, they had two hits last night. Two hits. And one of them was in the ninth inning. So they were really just didn't have anything going late in the ball game. Until late in the ball game, they got some runners on in the actual ninth, but they'd already blow up the insurance runs. Festa had already given up some runs in the bottom of the eighth that really took it out of reach. They actually were still in the game. It was 2-0 going into the eighth, and then two more tacked on by the Dodgers. And that's what good teams do. You let them play with a lead like that, they're going to get those insurance runs off your not best relievers. And that's exactly what happened in the bottom of the eighth inning last night. So as you look at the offense, there's not much there, especially without DeLauder. There's just a lot of things to be concerned about if you don't have that bat in the two hole. Say tonight, I'm curious who would end up hitting number two since it won't be DeLauder. And then I think you just fall into a trap of now does a DeLauder early season injury force your hand into one of these moves and one of these call ups earlier than you would like. Now, I know everyone's going to talk about Bazana, but there's other guys in the minors that they might have to go to earlier in the season. Probably not this early. I think they still will be a month or so before they make any moves. But Arias is a problem right now. He's a flat out problem in this lineup. And it's not even, I can live with, I mean, numbers are numbers. Batting average is going to be, people are going to have some low numbers early in the season. At bat quality is not going to be the same thing as that. At bat quality matters, I think, from the get go, if you ask me. And it's what kind of what you look like up at the plate. He looks lost. Gabriel Arias looks lost up there, and he's looked lost in the past. But he's also sometimes he's looked found, which has been great when he takes the ball to right center and he goes the opposite way. We love seeing that from Arias. It's not consistent enough, and it never has been in his career. And at what point does the guy run out of options, figuratively or literally? Literally, he's out of options. So if they send him down again, he's gone. So now you have to ask yourself, what do we do with this lineup? Do we keep just forcing him out there at shortstop every day? I think at a certain point, you're just a detriment to your team. And sure, he has the power and the raw talent that you want to leave him in there and see if it clicks. It hasn't. And I just don't. I want it to so bad because it's the talent and what he can do is obvious. He just doesn't do it enough for it ever to be sustainable, if you ask me. I think that's a big question in this lineup. And then do you have some of these infielding prospects in the minors that you have waiting and ready? And you can have Rocchio slide into that shortstop role, take the others into second base, give a little, maybe a little more Schneeman, even though Schneeman's been off to a good start. I just don't know if you can at least a couple days off, a couple maybe he pinch hits here and there. He just doesn't need to play every day at that shortstop position and just be a hole in the lineup right now, swinging at pitches that are 2 feet off the plate. He can't hit off speed pitches right now, and he's had some of these really bad caught in between swings so far to start the season, and it's been immediate. His first at bat of the season was caught in between, caught in between. I just don't know what he's looking for up there, and I hate to bag on the guy. It seems there's nothing personal, but there's something off right now with him at the plate. And obviously he's got a great arm at short, but there's been a few mental errors at short as well too. So it's not like he's this Gold Glove defender you can't take out of the lineup. He's not, and honestly, Rocchio's better in the field if you ask me. So I think that's a big issue, and that's one fix and change that you can look at in this lineup. Another one, I think the how little of Reese Hoskins we've seen so far has been a little surprising to me. And I know we faced a lot of righties and we'll continue to face righties, but more Manzardo at first than I thought this season. This isn't even necessarily a knock or criticism against either of those decisions, but it has been a lot more Manzardo at first than I thought we would see this early. So I think that'll be an interesting development to watch is how the reps get split up amongst Manzardo. And I think David Fry's got to start finding his way into this lineup. I know one thing that is very helpful for this year in terms of lineup flexibility is that David Fry can catch again. Him not being able to catch last year really hampered this lineup because he was only able to play DH. He couldn't even go in and play anywhere in the field because he couldn't throw coming off the arm injury. And that just really hamstrung them in terms of flexibility. Now that he can actually get behind the plate or go play, if he has to play a little first, he can play a little first. Having him flexible so he can stay in the game if he does come in some of these pinch hit spots like they like to use him in, does give them a little more flexibility. But when you look at this offense minus DeLauder, say we have to miss DeLauder for a week or so, I'm just making this up. Your expectations are low, aren't they? I mean, mine would be. I mean, you just can't expect from what they have out there to really get much out of it. And I think it's a problem. And I don't know what the immediate fix is, but I think that's going to be one thing to look forward to. And I kind of wanted to get into ABS. I think this is the thing that everyone's been talking about. Everyone has a take, everyone has an opinion on lately. And I don't understand the negative of it. I didn't understand there's a lot of, first off, I don't want to go back to Gabriel Arias. It's the fourth inning, and first off, it was a strike called on Arias. Challenge. Challenge. Now we're out of challenges the rest of the game. I mean, that's just selfish baseball. I think there has to be an mindset of we're in this together when it comes to ABS. And I think that is one thing that has really been lost amongst the Guardians, especially so far, is we're a team trying to we play with these two challenges together. We have two. If we get them right, then we stick together and we keep going. If we don't, then we're kind of screwed. So I think that's one thing we have to keep in mind for the Guardians in terms of, and in every team in baseball, we got to make sure we have these late in the game when the situations matter. So if you're going to use one, if you're going to do the little tap, you got to be right. And it's a tough thing in general because all these guys, this is their first time playing with it. I get that. But you have to have an understanding of the system and the way it works in terms of how it affects you. It's not just you, and you got to be really kind of be unselfish in terms of when and when not to use it. So I think we've seen that so far with the Guardians has been we've used it a couple times where first off we're wrong and not just wrong but clearly wrong, which is frustrating. Obviously they don't have the box like we get the privilege of seeing on TV, but you can tell when they're just wasting a challenge. And another thing, you just got to understand when to use it and when not to. I think that's a thing that comes with coaching and that'll come over time. It's still early in this process. One thing I think really would be a good amendment to the rule is two challenges for the defense, for your pitching staff and your calling balls and strikes, and then two for your hitters. Because I think the fact that pitchers get penalized for your own hitters wasting challenges and getting them wrong kind of seems wrong to me. I feel like the pitchers should get their own set for the game. There's two for the Guardians offensive staff and two for the Guardians hitters, two for the Guardians pitching staff, just like for everyone it would be. Because I think as a pitcher, I haven't used a challenge the entire game, and now since Arias decided to use one in the fourth inning on a strike, now I'm penalized, and I mean, I guess it's a team game, so that's the logic you would get in response to that. But I feel like there should be some sort of divide between offensive challenges and pitching challenges. But that's just me. And then another thing, a lot of people, I have seen a lot of complaints about man, that we're overturning this because it just nicks the zone. Like you can see, like the point one of an inch and making contact, that's a strike, or point one off, give or take, however you want to call it. And I saw a good analogy online that it's almost as if there's a metal ring around the box. Like you have to visually think of it that way. And if you hit that ring, you're gonna hear a little ping. So you think of it that way. So really, all you're arguing at that point is the noise, how loud the ping was. Think of it that way in terms of whether that was a ball or strike in terms of contact with the box. If it makes any contact with the box at all, it is a strike. That's how it's always supposed to have been called in the past as well. That's not like new to baseball. If it's touching the strike zone, it's a strike. So just like if there's a metal ring around the zone, ping, doesn't matter if it's ping or ping, it's still a strike. Doesn't matter how much of contact it is. So I think that's a silly complaint that I've seen a lot of on the internet and from fans in general in terms of, man, this thing just point 1 inch and we're changing the call. Yeah, if that's the system we're going to use and we're going to trust that this is the correct strike zone, then yeah, you're going to have some that just barely catch it. That's what, first off, that means it's a good pitch. That's about the amount of contact you want on some of these pitches. Obviously, it's a inches game of inches to the most degree, and especially you see it even more when these reviews come so minuscule and such tight numbers. So I think to argue about the aspect of ABS is silly. And I think we have a long way to go. I think there's going to be new amendments to it as seasons go on, and players will get more comfortable. But I think one day it'll be one of those things where we look back and we can't believe that we never had it. That we used to just trust these guys' calls blindly, even though they were wrong. Because we've seen how so there's been some games for umpires across the league where they're just disastrous behind the plate, and I get it. It's a tough job, and it's but they almost it's better for them. They have the support now. If I do blow it in one of these major situations, now there is a system to stop that from be causing a grand issue. So I think that's the best takeaway I take from ABS so far. And then I kind of want to get into tonight's matchup as we face the Dodgers, close out the series. And we're split 1-1 right now, and it'll be Gavin Williams, our ace, on the mound tonight against the Dodgers, and Yamamoto, excuse me, on the mound for the Dodgers. A lot of the Japanese pitchers for the Dodgers. They had Sasaki in game one and Shohei last night. Yamamoto on the hill for them tonight. Man, they have a loaded staff. I mean, obviously, They're the Dodgers. They're the best team in baseball. They have been the last 2 years. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if they don't win it again this year. But you go win tonight. You win a series against the best team in baseball. That's got to feel pretty darn good. And you have your guy on the mound to do it. Gavin Williams closed the last year on an absolute tear and looked good in his first start. Obviously, didn't take the win in that one after giving up the long ball. But I'm very interested to see how he looks and how he attacks this Dodgers lineup tonight. Now, for us and offensively tonight, going to be a lot of question marks in terms of what do we put out there tonight. I think we'll see some David Fry. I think we'll see some. I think Fry, Hoskins, Manzardo, some combination of all three of them are going to have to play tonight. Obviously, I don't. I'd be shocked if we see Chase DeLauder tonight. I think you got to give him this day off, and then let him get ready for the weekend series against the Cubs. And I think tonight's going to be another one, kind of like the first two of this series have been. Low scoring pitching duel. And can Gavin just keep us in this late in the game, and then maybe a little guards ball action in terms of sneaking a few runs? Let Quan's been good this series, kind of starting to pick things up and see what we can get from there. But I think Gavin is this is going to be a really good early season test for Gavin Williams for us to see where's his game at, where's his action at early in the season. And I think this is going to be one of those moments where you look back and you say, Gavin, oh, this guy could be on pace for a really special season, or maybe we need to temper our expectations a little bit going forward with him in terms of what he is in terms of ace material and things of that nature. So that's maybe the main thing I'm keeping an eye out for tonight. What does Gavin Williams stuff look like against the best lineup in baseball? Because I am fascinated to see it. And I know you are too. So that's tonight, 8:20 first pitch. So a little earlier, not as bad as they've been so far for these East Coast like late night games. I know it's been rough on you fans. It's been rough on me too. So hopefully get a nice win, close the series in LA, and then head home. Home opener Friday, 4:30 against the Chicago Cubs. Fun weekend series down at the ballpark. I might be there for a game or two. Hopefully some of you are as well. And that's going to wrap us up here for Guardians Daily, presented by FanArc. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time.